Today we'll begin Chapter 2. We're going to start with Section 2.1, and all of Chapter 2 is going to be talking about quadratics. So we are going to be doing similar things like we did in Chapter 1, like stretching and shrinking and reflections, but we're only going to be working with quadratics. So first, open up your journal to page 26 and copy the definitions. Before we begin the first example, read through the core concept here at the bottom of page 26. Notice for horizontal translation, the H number inside the parentheses moves the graph left and right. The K number on the end will move the graph up and down. Now let's look at example 1. For example 1, we want to describe the transformations of the parent function and the new function and then graph each. So notice we have a 4 and a -1 in here. Describe what the 4 and the 1 do. The 4, because it's inside the parentheses, will move it left. The 1 added to the end or subtracted to the end will move it 1 unit down. So our original parent function always goes through 0, 0, and 1, 1, and -1, 1. So there's our normal parabola. The new graph will move 4 left and 1 down. So I'm going to take each of these dots, move them 4 left and 1 down, and connect. And there's my new parabola. Notice I'm graphing without a table because I know the transformations now, and I don't need a table. I can just do the graph. Let's go back to the journal. If you notice in the journal, we can look at reflection and stretching and shrinking. In the top left box, reflection in the X means there is a negative placed outside the function. Reflection in the Y, the negative is inside with the X. Notice where the parentheses are in both. For a horizontal stretch and shrink, the number will be multiplied to the X inside the parentheses. But for vertical, the number will be multiplied outside the function. Now let's look at example 2. So in example 2, describe the transformation. The negative on the outside is going to reflect, and the 1/2 is multiplied outside the function. It's not inside parentheses, so that's going to be a V shrink because it's smaller than 1. So our normal parent function will go through 0, 0, 1, 1, and -1, 1. There's our regular parent function. Our new function will reflect, so it'll be upside down and it'll shrink a half. So the 0, 0 will be the same, but instead of going to a height of 1 for this next point, you're only going to go halfway there. Notice it looks a little wider. Let's look at B. For B, we have this 2 inside the function. That's going to be a horizontal number. Now, right now, it looks like a stretch of 2, but remember, horizontal, you want to use the reciprocal. So we're going to say a half. And half would represent a shrink, a horizontal shrink. This 1 on the outside will move it 1 up. So our original function, our parent function, 0, 0, 1, 1, -1, 1. Our new function, go ahead and move up and down, left and right first. So that means I'm going to move up 1, and it's going to be a horizontal shrink, which will look as the same as a vertical stretch. So we're going to make it look skinnier. Let's continue to example 3. In example 3 and example 4, we're going to be writing the equation of a quadratic function. Now, our original function will have a number multiplied possibly to the outside. You could have a number added or subtracted inside, and you could have a number added or subtracted on the end. So we want to take our original function, x squared, and we want to stretch it by 2 and reflect in the x, then 3 units down. So let's first do a stretch of 2. That means the 2 will be multiplied outside the function. I don't need to put parentheses for here. Then we want to reflect in the x, again, negative outside the function, followed by 3 units down. So that means I'm going to minus 3 to the end. And I've written my equation. Let's look at example 4. I'd like you to change example 4. Let's make it a new function. Let's make it x minus 5 all squared. Now let's do what they asked. They want us to move it 3 right and 2 up. The 3 right means I'm going to put a minus 3 inside. And the 2 up means I'm going to add 2 to the end. So I need to add a minus 3 inside and add a 2 to the end. And now just clean this up for our final answer. And there we go. Please have any questions ready for tomorrow in class.